As the Middle East braces for war with Iran, a war in Syria is raging. And in Israel, the body of the last Israeli hostage was finally recovered, a day before the world marks Holocaust Remembrance Day. CBN News Middle East correspondent Julie Stahl has more on our top story from Jerusalem.
Israeli troops located the body of the last hostage, Ran Gvili, in a Gaza cemetery and returned it to Israel on Monday after 843 days in captivity. It marks the first time since 2014 that there are no Israeli hostages in Gaza. Gvilie, a police officer, was on leave on October 7th with an injured shoulder. He went out to fight anyway and died defending Kibbutz Alumim. His body was kidnapped into Gaza. Israeli President Isaac Herzog released a short video showing he and his wife removing their yellow pins, the national symbol of the hostages held in Gaza.
An entire nation is breathing an enormous sigh of relief tonight, as all our hearts are with Ran's family, especially his parents, Talik and Itzik, who fought heroically and with remarkable courage to bring their son home.
His family thanked the IDF, the police, the government, Prime Minister Netanyahu, and the people of Israel for standing with them.
We want to thank to President Trump, Witkoff, Kushner, and all the people behind the scenes.
In northeast Syria, tensions are high as a longtime U.S. military ally is under assault, despite a ceasefire agreement between President Ahmad al-Shara, also known as al-Juliani's military, and the Kurdish Syrian Democratic Forces, or SDF. Fighting is breaking out across the region. Chuck Holton is in the city of Qamishli and says many are fleeing the surrounding area.
It's early morning here in the northern Syrian city of Qamishli. This is a city that's been under the control of the Syrian Democratic Forces, or the Kurds, for more than 10 years. But now, this city of 180,000 people has another 200,000 people who have shown up here as refugees from the surrounding area. That's because al-Julani's forces are trying to push the SDF and the Kurds out of this region altogether. And so they have been encircling the city with their forces, even though there's supposed to be a ceasefire. We heard fighting all night last night, and that is creating a huge humanitarian crisis here in Qamishli.
One Kurdish resident of Qamishli said this is the most challenging time they've faced since the fight against ISIS in 2011. He fears it could turn into a regional catastrophe.
Because this is not anymore about, two parties who are in conflict now. This is more likely about, ethnic groups that are getting into a dispute and a conflict. And this is the worst nightmare.
All this as the international community marks Holocaust Remembrance Day. In Jerusalem, Prime Minister Netanyahu told a conference that anti-Semitism is spreading most on social media.
This is the new battlefield, and this is where we must counter with our own weapons. We're late in the game, but we will win this battle too, as we won on the battlefield.
Julie Stahl, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Our CBN News Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell is with us now. Chris, now that all the hostages are returned, what are the next steps in the peace deal? What are the challenges?
Well, there's a lot of challenges, Gary. I would say first to echo what the president said, that Israel really can breathe a sigh of relief now that all the hostages have been home. First time in 10 years, and certainly all the ones that came from October 7th. The big challenge, I think, right now is disarming Hamas. That was one of the main goals of the war when this all began on October 7th. And I think that is the main challenge right now. It seems like a lot of the nations, they want to go to phase 2. And there's a concern here, Gary, that some of the nations that are part of the Board of Peace, some of them are actually on the Gaza Executive Board, and that would be Qatar and Turkey, would sort of soften the blow to Hamas and have a way that they could actually survive. That's a major concern here. They don't want Turkey involved. They don't want Qatar boots on the ground. So I think that's a big challenge right here, going after phase 1 of this peace deal onto phase 2.
Chris, Chuck Holden's reporting on the threat to the Kurds in the northeast of Syria. You and I have spent a lot of time with the Kurds over the years. So what should Americans know about the Kurds and their relations with the United States?
Well, first of all, Gary, I think that they should know that the Kurds have been one of the greatest allies in the war against terror, against Islamic terror, and specifically against ISIS. There are about 11,000 Kurds who died fighting ISIS when it was rampaging through Iraq and Syria. So I think people need to know they're a great ally. And right now, a lot of people believe that somehow there's been a deal made where the al-Shura government of Syria has been able to go in and take over what is called Northeast Syria, an autonomous area that really had been a free democratic area. It's just a remarkable phenomenon there in the heart of the Middle East. And now it's under peril. The al-Shura government and the Syrian army, which is made up of many jihadists, is really taking over this area and threatening many of the Kurds. We've seen atrocities, we've seen torture and killing. We've seen humiliation of many of the Kurdish soldiers, even the women. So it's a very, very difficult, desperate situation for them. And I think a lot of people need to pray for the Kurds and all the people in that region, because it's really been a beacon of democracy and freedom, even religious freedom, in the heart of the Middle East.
Chris, you're attending an anti-Semitism conference in Jerusalem. What's the main takeaway from the gathering?
Yeah, I see that Julie in her story had a soundbite from Prime Minister Netanyahu. I'm at the same conference. It's a day-long conference. The biggest takeaway, I think, is that the dangers of anti-Semitism and how much it has grown in social media. I think that's one of the main examples and one of the main concerns right now of the of anti-Semitism. We've heard from the president earlier this morning, President Isaac Herzog. We've heard from the Prime Minister of Albania, and they've had a couple of panels here. But the growth of anti-Semitism, Gary, I think is a huge concern. And they're also saying that, you know, Israel has been fighting a 7-front war against all of its enemies surrounding here. The 8th front is the battle for truth, and that's what they call this conference, Generation of Truth. And so they feel like this is the existential battle for the legitimacy of the Jewish people and the Jewish state, and a battle no less important, perhaps, Gary, than what many of the soldiers have been fighting on the battlefield.
Yes, and on this Holocaust Remembrance Day, it's still a shame that 81 years later, people still deny the Holocaust. So what do you have on today's Jerusalem Dateline, Chris? We've got about 45 seconds.
Yeah, well, because of International Holocaust Remembrance Day, we have a story of Walter Bingham. He's a good friend of ours. He's 102 years old, believe it or not, and he's set the Guinness World Book of Records as the oldest working journalist. He survived the Holocaust, so we have a story on him. We have also an update on something called the truth about some of the influencers that have been anti-Semitic coming against Israel. We have a statement about that, and also a story about the Dead Sea Scrolls that are actually, some of them are in Washington, D.C. right now, and a feature on that, just once again proving the connection between the Jewish people and the land of Israel.
Okay, our CBN News Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell, thanks for your insights. We look forward to hearing from you again in the days ahead. And you can see the latest Jerusalem Dateline at 8 p.m. Eastern on the CBN News Channel. You can also watch on the CBN News app or on YouTube.